so please read it at your leisure. The National Defense Report is also written on your program. Please read it at your leisure. The minutes from the September meeting were mailed to all members, and you have had an opportunity to read them. Are there any corrections to the minutes? If there are no corrections, the minutes stand approved as read. The Treasurer's Report was also mailed out to all members. Are there any questions concerning the Treasurer's Report? Then the Treasurer's Report will be filed for audit. Our reports are very brief this month, and only very critical issues or required reporting has been done. At this time, we have Bonnie Cornish, who will come up and talk to us a little about some veterans issues that she's worked on and are coming up. Bonnie? Bye.
September 18th, our clip coupons were delivered for veterans families at the Moon Township Commissary. Happy to announce our contribution to Guardian Angel Dogs from our summer doggy bag collection amounted to $210, and $56 went towards the Alpha Bravo Dog Skate Project. You really went above and beyond. Thank you all. As usual, we can once again support Military Connections Christmas Stockings for Soldiers Project. Each stocking is $10, and volunteers need to fill each one with candies and cards in Penn Hills if you are interested in helping. Today is the last day to contribute a filled Christmas stocking for the employed veteran from home. Cards are available to sign, and please address it to Dear Marine or Dear Soldier. Due to our many monetary opportunities this month, we will collect monies for Christmas wreaths at the November meeting, which are $15 each, in support of Wreaths Across America, which is the SAR George Washington Chapter's project. This will be held at noon on December 15th at our National Cemetery of the Alleghenies in Cecil, where you are welcome to help place a wreath on the graves. Volunteers need to arrive early due to this well-attended event. Please contact me if you plan to attend. Friday, October 12th, we met at the VA Hospital in Oakland and served root beer floats to veterans and visitors in honor of DAR's National Day of Service. Thank you, Susan Brock, Carol Paris, and Ann Thompson for your helping hands. Shop and Save generously donated a $25 gift card to supply 5 Steeler t-shirts for door prizes. Giant Eagle provided $25 worth of chips, and our region donated the ice cream and 2 door prizes. This chair supplied the root beer cups. Several of our members will be attending Duquesne University free of charge for the annual Veterans Day breakfast, thanks to the Butera family, who sponsor a table from the Friends of Demand. It's always heartwarming to hear their experiences during enlistment and learn how we can support them. Most nonprofit veteran organizations attend, and we are most grateful for this opportunity. One last comment. If you didn't know, World War I ended on the 11th month, on the 11th day at the 11th hour. When you wear your poppy, it should be worn on the right side. The red represents the blood of all those who gave their lives. The black represents the mourning of those who didn't have their loved ones return home. And the green leaf represents the grass and crops growing and future prosperity after the war destroyed so much. The leaf should be positioned at 11 o'clock. Please honor all veterans on November 11th.
Thank you. Thank you, Bonnie. Angel Pryor, we have a quick minute for the American Indians.
Indian moment. When the United States entered World War I in 1917, several thousand Native Americans enlisted in the armed forces. One source cites over 8,000 served during World War I. Another states more than 12,000.
Angel is a very modest young lady, and I'm taking a minute to do something that I know she would do better than I, but she said, I just want you to do this. Duquesne University Veterans Oral History Exhibit. I received this flyer from the director, Megan DeFree, am I saying that correctly? And it is their opening reception and story gathering on Wednesday, November 7th at the Gumber Library at Duquesne University. Now, why is this important to us as DAR members of Bethel, Fife, and Drum? Well, in case you didn't know already, our chapter sponsored a grant for them, and they won $1,000 from National to underwrite part of the Duquesne Veterans Oral History exhibit. So we are being asked to attend something that we helped make happen. So from that standpoint, I am hopeful that we will get at least 5 or 6 or 10 of us going to this event. I will drive and pick up as many as I can get in my car. I know Bonnie's going and Angel's going. I'm going to pass, I didn't want to pass anything around today, but I don't think this really got the recognition it needed, and it has to be done by the end of this month. We have to let them know how many of us are coming by the end of this month. So I'll start it over here, and if you can make it or think you can, write your name and also write if you could drive. That would be wonderful. Thank you. The other thing is that women's issues, and I just simply wanted you to be aware, as you already are, that this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And our dear Jane Binkowski is recovering from a major lung infection. So one of the cards for black lung, it's a black mold, not black lung, mold infection that she has gotten from where she lived. She's had to move out of her home, and it's been quite devastating for her. So keep her in your thoughts and your prayers, all right? Okay, at this time, I would like our membership co-chairman, Lois Puglisi, and State Vice Regent Beth Watkins to come to the front of the room for the presentations of the certificates for membership.
Thank you, Vivian. Well, it is my great pleasure as co-chair of the membership committee, along with Vivian, to recognize years of membership certificates today as part of Bethel Fife and Drum Chapter's Member Recognition Month, especially during this 40th anniversary celebration. Pennsylvania State First Vice Regent Beth Watkins will present the certificates as Vivian and I announce the names. Years of membership certificates are awarded by the chapter for every 5th anniversary of membership in the National Society in appreciation of members' continued support for the NSDAR's mission of education, patriotism, and historic preservation, and because we value your membership and service in this particular chapter. We chose October as Member Recognition Month because it is the anniversary month of both NSDAR on October 11 and Bethel Fife and Drum on October the 12th. This year we have 21 members with milestone years of membership, and I think that's a record, at least for the 11 years that I've been working with the certificates. And we are pleased that 9 members are able to be with us today to receive their certificates in person. Please come forward to receive your certificate when your name is read. And if you would remain at the front for just a minute, we would like to take a group photo afterward, and Beth is going to offer a prayer for all of our certificate recipients today. Certificates are awarded to, for 5 years of membership, Chris Butera. She's busy taking notes as our corresponding secretary. We'll get you all this information. Congratulations. Thank you. Joy Marr. Congratulations. Julia Tatey. Congratulations.
We're glad you did.
Other 5-year members unable to attend today are Abby Butera, Chris's daughter, McKenna Hammer, Pamela Walker, and Rachel Weinblum. For 10 years of membership, Lynette McWilliams. Congratulations. Other 10-year members unable to attend today are Beverly Daniel, Laura Kincaid, and Cheryl Steiber. Now I'm going to turn this over to Vivian. for reasons which may become obvious.
Yes.
For 15 years of membership, we want to congratulate Stephanie Moore and Lois Puglisi. Stay up here because we're going to have a wonderful
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you, Vivian.
Sure.
Oh, Vivian, did you want to do the next one? I think I jumped the gun.
Oh, you're down to that. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure, for 25 years of membership, and this involves a national certificate, Eileen Livingston.
That's me.
That's you.
Congratulations.
Wow.
Thank you. Do I stand up here?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
For 30 years of membership, Betsy Tavey. Congratulations. Another 30-year member unable to attend today is Honorary Regent Lois Foss. 35-year members unable to attend today are Kitty Gardner and Joan Giles. 40-year members unable to attend today are Barbara Beadle and Carol Holmes. And we have a very special commemoration today for a wonderful lady who joined DAR 65 years ago. Carol Carl. Carol, we want to recognize you, especially to thank you for your many years of support and service to the National Society, the Pennsylvania Society, and Bethel Pipe and Drum Chapter. Thank you so much.
Carol, in lieu of all those years at DAR, this is just a little recognition from our chapter. Thank you. You're so welcome. All right, and again, Lisa Jenkins from Jenkins Landscaping created all these beautiful things today. Okay, you want us in?
Okay,
I'm going to try to do this with the piano.
Oh,
so-
Okay, so first I just wanted to thank all our members today also for your continued support of Bethel Pipe and Drum and the Pennsylvania Society and the National Society in all their endeavors. All your support and hard work, I hope you know, is greatly appreciated, so thank you.
Okay, I'm going to try to do this picture with a piano.
We're gonna
Just
have
see if you can move it in a little bit. And just look here.
Here to take the picture.
No, this is good.
Okay.
Just look here. Thank you.
Yes, I'm online. Thank you so much. Thank you.
If everyone would stay up here
Oh,
just for a
yes,
moment.
yes.
I have a little prayer I'd like to share in everyone's honor. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we are gathered here today to honor these members who have given devoted service to the growth of the Bethel Fife and Drum chapter for so many years. We are grateful to them for their dedication and leadership. They have performed with prophetic vision by your hand in guiding this chapter for many years. Guide us, O Lord, that we and succeeding generations might meet the challenges of the future with the same loyalty and dedication. Bless us all as we go forth into the future with the same forthright dignity, dedication, and high standards as those who have gone before us. Give us courage and strength of heart and mind to continue the work as these honorees have in the past. We ask this in the name of our Father. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. you so much, Beth and Lois, for that lovely ceremony. As we move forward to the dedication ceremony today, which is the special reason that we're here, we mark this day because all of you have to be proud of the vision of the Historical Society to preserve this building and the fortunate opportunity we as a chapter had to become a partner in this. I would like Chris Butera, our chairman of Historical Preservation, to give a few words about our involvement in this project.
Well, thanks. It was last April or May, I was at a Bethel Women's Club meeting, and Bill Haberthur was there speaking about the Historical Society, about the improvements that were coming to the building. They had competing graduating classes sponsoring windows at a cost of $500 a piece. They were looking for individuals to sponsor rooms. And my good friend Georgie Knaus and her husband had already sponsored the boardroom where we had lunch today. So if you know me, you know my wheels start turning. And I thought, well, gee, maybe that's something that my DAR chapter would like to participate in, as historic preservation is one of our projects. So I called Vivian and I said, what do you think? And she says, well, let's take it to the board. So I called Bill and I said, hey, can we have our board meeting at the schoolhouse? And you can explain to the board what the project is. So that's what we did in July of 2017. So then we made arrangements for Bill to come to a DAR meeting in September of 2017 to present it to the entire chapter. And everybody was gung-ho and said, yeah, this sounds like a great project to do. So then we figured out, okay, how do we come up with $10,000 to sponsor a room? Gung-ho is great, money is better. So we started out with a Painting with a Twist chapter fundraiser. And we had 51 members and friends participate in that, and that gave us a start. And then I found these little schoolhouse pins, and I thought, well, we do like our bling in DAR, so let's offer schoolhouse pins. If you made a $50 or more donation, you get a schoolhouse pin. I'm proud to say that less than 10% of that $10,000 came from chapter funds. That you all embraced the project and with cash in hand made this room happen. And I think that's something to truly be commended, that we were able to raise over $9,000 between taking it to the board in August and presenting the check in October. So I give you all Now, I wish you could have seen this room in person before we got started on it. There's a lovely gentleman that had an art studio, more storage than studio space in here. If you've had a chance to look at the storyboard I put together here, it was full of paintings and looked not the best. The Historical Society started in March of this year, just in March of this year. Took up tile, replastered walls, stripped the floors, replastered, stained and polyurethane the floors, replastered walls, put in light fixtures, and had this all ready to go by our September meeting. It's truly a work of love for the Historical Society. I'm proud to be a part of it. I have no sweat equity in the room, but I'm proud to be associated with it. Now, like I said, we all like our bling. And Bill, we have what we call HODARs in DAR. That's husbands of DAR. Sorry, but I'm going to call you a FODAR. You are a friend of DAR.
I was feeling a little neglected. Everybody's got such wonderful badges.
You're official.
Oh, thank you.
You're a little schoolhouse.
Oh,
So when you go out and take your show on the road and pitch for more money to
I can.
make improvements, and you can bring it in.
That's great.
Thank you all.
who have wished to give us greetings on our project. And I'm going to ask our State Vice Regent, Beck, if she would like to say a few words of greeting.
Thank you, Vivian. So, congratulations on this historic day. I'm delighted to be here to join in the celebration. As we celebrate 40 years of Bethel Fife and Drum chapter, let us remember the dedicated work of the founding members who set out to organize a chapter in the South Hills of Pittsburgh. Let us offer admiration for the naming of this chapter, such that in selecting the name Bethel Fife and Drum, we recognize the Bethel Presbyterian Church, an historic place of worship since 1776. The Fife family, who buried their patriot relatives in the church cemetery, and the Fife and Drum music that calls to mind our patriot ancestors marching to battle. Let us be thankful for the service of Betty Petrich, who led the chapter as its first regent from 1978 to 1980, and the many dedicated chapter leaders who have followed, continuing to serve this chapter, the state, and the National Society. Happy birthday, Bethel Fife and Drum.
Thank you so much. And now our own Southwest District Director, Ann Horner.
I'm happy to be here today to celebrate yet another accomplishment of the members of Bethel Fife and Drum. The DAR objectives are historic preservation, education, and patriotism. This project encompasses all three. The chapter was able to raise $10,000 to renovate a room in this historic schoolhouse. It will be educational for students and adults both as they tour the museum, as you had the opportunity to do earlier today. In addition, it highlights patriotism as you take in the military exhibits. I'd like to commend Chris Butera for seeing an opportunity, believing in what this chapter can accomplish, presenting it to the chapter, and taking the necessary steps to make it happen. This chapter is successful because the members work together to accomplish their goals. We are a team and support each other in our effort to do great things as a chapter. Thank you so much for being here. It's wonderful to see so many of you in this room today coming to share this special occasion with us. A special thank you to our Pennsylvania State Vice Regent, Beth Watkins, for coming. I congratulate you, Chris, and the members of Bethel Fife and Drum on your passion, commitment, dedication, and service to your chapter and to the community. Thank you all so much. It is a day of celebration for the community of Bethel Park, the Bethel Historical Society, and a great day for the Bethel Fife and Drum chapter.
And now our Pennsylvania State CAR President, Everett Muir.
Thank you. So my name is Everett Muir, and I am the Pennsylvania State President of the Children of the American Revolution, and I am so honored to be here today. This year, I have the privilege of leading the PA State Society along with my senior, Mrs. Brandy Cleave. This CAR, just like the DAR, raises money for projects, supports communities, and learns about our American history. We are proud to be descended from the honorable patriots who served in the creation of our country. It is so pleasing to know that the Bethel Fife and Drum chapter is so active and involved in helping our active military and veterans. With your 14 patriots that you have in the cemetery, your constant projects to support veterans, and your enthusiasm of your members, it is evident that you have a passion for helping. I once attended an event where you honored Vietnam veterans at the municipal building by planting a tree. CAR members look up to you and strive to honor the history of America like DAR members do. I hope that this new home for your chapter will allow you to continue serving your community through your dedication to veterans and historical preservation. I'm so grateful that I had the chance to speak to you at your meeting today and cannot help I don't know why I'm like not pronouncing things well today. I don't know. Okay. But I would just like to thank Mrs. McDowell for inviting me here, and thank you very much. I wish you a successful many more years in your new home.
This young man has already put in a day's work at another DAR event today, so no wonder his mind's a little, plus he's in school and lives a life, so. And last but not least, greetings from our friend Bill. What can I say? This man is...
How can I follow all of that? I just want to thank you all. It truly has been an amazing 2 years for the Bethel Park Historical Society. And I know, I started out this project getting involved, wanted to give back to my community. People thought that we were going to tear down the building. So trying to convince people that this was here to stay was an arduous task. So I literally, and I say this jokingly, prostituted myself by going in front of every organization that would listen to me speak and telling them our story. And it's such a great story, and it's such a wonderful building. It's one of the few commercial buildings in Bethel Park that's actually historically landmarked by the Pittsburgh History and Landmarks Foundation. And it was a Gold Car Club meeting that I went up to Mrs. Christopher, Linda, her daughter, and I graduated from high school just a couple of years ago. And I asked her if she thought that the DAR could donate a flag for the school. And that snowballed into meeting Chris and getting involved. And once I get that little inkling that someone's interested, I run with it. And when I tell you, for the women that came at the meeting, and Joy, I think you can attest to the fact that you walk into a dreary, dark building a year and a half ago, and there's no heat, there's no air conditioning, the ceiling's falling down, there's carpeting on the floor, and I'm asking you for $10,000 for the classroom. You have to give these women a lot of credit for having the vision that the rest of our group has. And we certainly, we're a dedicated group, and when the DAR said yes, we were absolutely thrilled, because it combines that sense of history with the Historical Society, so what better two organizations to come together. And the Bethel Park Historical Society owns the building, but it's the home of the Schoolhouse Arts and History Center. When we rebranded the building a couple of years ago, we added history, because we not only have the arts with artist studios upstairs, the ballet dancer, but now we have the historical aspect. So we've got you all to come in and give us a hand. And there are so many wonderful things that we're going to be achieving. We just recently received a collection dating back to, the gentleman was born in 1879, he died in 1964. He was an archivist, he was a genealogist, he was a Smith family. He married Betsy Holtz, which is a long-term old family in Bethel Park. They're buried in Bethel Cemetery. His grandson's wife donated the collection. It's 1,000 glass plate negatives of Bethel and Pittsburgh dating back to the late 1800s. There's genealogy there, and Lisa, your family's well represented in that collection of photographs, 37 scrapbooks of photographs. He was also a painter. So it's those types of connections, and we have a history major from Penn State that's going to be an intern next summer to help catalog all this. And Christine McIntosh from the library wants to digitize all of our records, all of the library's records, so now it's available to So no matter if you move away from Bethel Park, all these documents will be accessible. So in closing, I just want to thank you all for having the vision that we had, for seeing how with a little bit of money and a group of dedicated individuals, what a beautiful room. This is actually 113 years old. So it's incredible that the building survived and that it's moving forward into the next century with organizations like yourselves. So we look forward to a lot of co-fundraising and a lot of more fun events, and I just thank you all for coming today. So, thank you.
I have a couple little presentations to give before we unveil our plaque. Chris Butera, would you mind putting your pen down a minute? When he started this journey, this gal and I must have been on the phone at least 5, 6, 7, and it was like, I never shut up, do I? I just go from one.
She speaks the truth.
But you know what? She kept me grounded, and we got so many of you wonderful ladies involved. But she is the catalyst that brought this thing to us. And I couldn't think of anything that would maybe be more meaningful to her. But when I got my brain going and I knew that Jack Puglisi has a wife that's just as dedicated and just as involved in this chapter, and he is a friend of our chapter, and he's a drawer, he's an artist. And this is the original schoolhouse pennant that he did. It's not a And last but not least, this lovely arrangement is for our state vice president. And I would like again that Lisa Jenkins would stand. So glad you come. We appreciate it so much. And now, if I can find my little piece. Nothing is really ended until it is forgotten. Whatever is kept in our memory still endures. And it was the belief of a significant group of historically minded people that this building here deserves to be allowed to stay and not be forgotten. By our partnership with the Bethel Park Historical Society, we have made possible the restored beauty of this classroom, and we look forward to many years of continued opportunities to make more memories. Therefore, we, the members of the Bethel Fife and Drum Chapter, National Society, Daughters of the American Revolution, dedicate this restored historical room in the Schoolhouse Arts and History Center to the generations of people that will follow. Will the Board of Directors of the Bethel Fife and Drum Chapter please come forward, all of you, and each take a corner as we remove the cover from our plaque that will be permanently mounted in this room. Oh my. Now I'm going to reach under and hold it so it doesn't
Where's
get...
Marty?
Oh my. Where is she? All right, everybody get in.
Well, later, let me
Yeah.
get the picture. I need to get the picture. Okay, everybody look this way, straight. Okay, do the unveiling, and we'll see if we can catch this at the right moment.
Okay, on my hands and...
Sounds
Ta-da!
like at the back of your head.
I will hold it up so everyone can see. This was made by the students
what's really interesting, when you do a project, you want to engage the next generation. So that's why to have this young gentleman come up and stand up is so important. But the kids at Independence Middle School, who are 7th and 8th graders, they actually came at like 6:30 every morning and worked on this class. So they're doing the naming rights to each of the rooms for us. So it's a wonderful connection with the next generation.
Wishes to thank the Bethel Fife and Drum National Society Daughters of the American Revolution. So we're talking about where it's going to go. We'll decide, and it'll be permanently in this room so that forever we can come here and know it was our partnership with Bethel. Thank you. Thank you, ladies. And now I would like to introduce our special speaker this afternoon, Mr. James Smith. Growing up in a small upstate New York farm town, Jim was inspired by Frederick Fennell, to study traditional drumming with William Street and John Beck at Eastman. The Fife and Drum Corps he organized in 1961 while in high school is in its 57th year.
Wow.
Working through engineering school at Purdue, he played weekend gigs, organized a drum corps in Lafayette, from which grew 12 other Fife and Drum corps. During the past 20 years, Jim has focused on the Civil War and played with nearly every recreated Civil War band and drum corps in the country, while promoting the use of original drums with an unmuffled skinhead. He has been using the language of the drum to call us today, and I welcome you, Mr. Smith, to take your drum and beat it.
I guess I have no choice. Thank you very much, Vivian, for the kind introduction. And I do want to thank you in the best way that I know how, and that is to take the drum and beat it. And there's a signal or a call named the 3 Cheers. And I'd like to do that for you right now. And thanks for your hospitality and for your generosity. And by the way, I'm compelled to let you know that it's entirely within the realm of possibility that George Washington and Arthur St. Clair themselves actually heard that same call or signal on this drum. This is an old relic that dates from the Revolutionary War period. I don't have records to confirm exactly when and where, but all of the construction on the drum, the shell, the hoops, and everything leads to that period of time and that use. The decoration is barely visible on the front is very similar to that of a drum that's in the Guilford Courthouse Museum in Greensboro, North Carolina. So I believe that this is, in fact, an old relic from the Revolutionary War period. And I'm privileged to be able to use it. An old friend, Fred Benkovic from Milwaukee, restored this about 40 years ago. Fred is gone now. He was a Second World War veteran, and I was honored to be able to beat the military honors at his funeral service. Now, we've got about 3 days worth of material covered here. And let's see, we just did 3 cheers. We've done the dinner call, which, who here had roast beef? Very good. Well, by coincidence, the dinner call is also known as roast beef. I beat the assembly, which was what got everyone here into this room. And the one thing that I did neglect to do was to the colors. I didn't think to take my drum into the other room, but I do notice that we have American flags in all the rooms here. And I'm compelled to tell you about an experience last weekend in Ligonier. They were having their annual Fort Days celebration, and the Ligonier veterans always have me come and lead the parade. So we were there leading the parade, and I beat to the colors before we stepped off. And then at the end, I sat on a porch. There was a nice old wicker chair that looked very comfortable, and I made good use of it, and watched the rest of the parade come down the street. And I noticed there were many school bands. The parade was over 2 hours long. It was a long parade, a big parade. And there was only, out of all the school bands, there was only one that actually carried Old Glory. The other bands were carrying things called silks and whatever they are. And it occurs to me that there may be opportunity here. It just, as we were having lunch today, it occurs to me that there may be opportunity here. You're doing your presentations, perhaps a DAR presentation to the schools that carry Old Glory in their parades and on their services. And at every school program, it's entirely appropriate and this is part of my mission late in life, to help create a group called the Drummers Heritage Society, actually named after Frederick Fennell's concept at Eastman, which inspired me to do this, to the colors. Entirely appropriate to have kids do that. Now we're in a schoolroom, and if you'll all look to the wall over here, there's a quotation from a journal that was kept by a young American officer named Samuel Smith, who was a lieutenant in General, I've gone brain dead here, getting old, Anthony Wayne's command. And this is on the test. This is on the test. On June 21st, he penned 2 pages of notes with signals, specific signals, with this prelude, in order that the soldiers may be acquainted with the sound of the drum and be at no loss to understand the meaning of each beat. The general appoints the following signals on the drum through the whole army. This was important stuff. This was very, very important stuff. And we are in the schoolroom, and this was, I have to ask there's another thing on the test here. There's another very important date, two important dates on the test. The first date, April 18th, 1775, Lexington, Massachusetts. What happened?
Battle of Lexington, Concord.
Huh?
Battle of Lexington, Concord.
First shot heard around the world.
Huh?
First shot heard around the world.
You're wrong. Absolutely nothing happened. Just like you all here, the militia showed up. The Minutemen showed up and waited, and absolutely nothing happened. Now, at full strength, there were about 40 of them. They were shopkeepers, farmers, tradesmen, merchants. and nothing happened. So Captain John, oh, terrible. It'll come to me. Their captain told them, gave an order, and it was written in several of their journals. He dismissed the men with an order to be prepared to attend at the beat of the drum. Be prepared to attend at the beat of the drum. Well, that night, the British made their move from Boston, and who was the guy on the horse?
Paul Revere.
Good job, good job. Paul Revere and his buddies. They went around all over the countryside and alerted folks. And next morning, Captain John, I was going to say Proctor, but it's not. It was not him. But anyhow, he turned to their 15-year-old drummer, William Diamond, and he said, "William, brace your drum, beat up the alarm." So this is what William did. He braced his drum and beat up the alarm. That's exactly what's supposed to happen. You all reported for duty. You all reported for duty. Now we're going to close the loop. It's so interesting. What happened on here we are, the 17th of October, 1781, in Yorktown, Virginia.
Surrender.
What happened?
Surrender. Cornwallis.
Yeah, well, he didn't surrender. He did not surrender on that day. But what he did do was to send a young British drummer to stand on an earthwork under a flag of truce and to beat the church call. And it goes on for several more stanzas. The troops heard that and understood. This was part of understand the meaning of each beat and know what to do. So the war for our independence actually began with the beat of the drum and ended with the beat of a drum. And for your chapter, it's very important to know that. It's all on the test. Oh, and in between those two dates, there were a lot of things that happened, of course, and there were a lot of things that the drummers had to do. And in order to do that here, I need a volunteer, and I'm just looking.
Ever.
And I'm going to need two volunteers. You've been volunteers. That's the way
Just voluntold.
I have to dig deep into the king's purse here. All right. Now, if you'll hold out your hand. All right, now these two volunteers have just taken the king's shilling. They are in the service. You are in the service.
Congratulations.
Now, let's see. You can put that in your pocket and don't move. Don't leave. You have a brown coat. I think you'll need. Here's your uniform. Goes from here.
Which side?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
that,
okay.
and over the left eye. Here's your tool.
Yeah, you do.
Now, let's see. I think this is about, it might be a little bit long here. I'm not sure if we used this last time. All right.
She's got all the medals on too. She's a gentleman.
All right, here are your tools. And,
Well, your guys should have paid better attention.
all right, now, if you'll stay.
Very official.
My husband could see me now.
We'll send her the picture. We'll send her. You'll be on Facebook.
Now, you can stand easy for a minute. We'll have some musket drill very shortly.
Okay.
The first thing we need to do is to, we've got a new drummer here. And, first thing we need to do is to learn the alarm.
Okay.
And got a good start on the left hand,
Okay.
like so. Very good, very good. The right hand, and do it like so.
Okay.
Very good. Which, are you right-handed or left-handed? Left-handed. Okay. Well, usually we start with the left hand because it's the weak hand. But in this case, we'll make an exception.
All right, there we go.
Now, all we're going to, this is very, very easy. Very easy. What we're going to do is to beat two times with each stick, and then in succession, and gradually speed up. All right? Start it. Very, very good. Very good. Ready?
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
Play. Oh, that was the very first thing in the drum instruction book from 1750. You should take the boy and have with the drum, just like we're doing, and beat and learn to beat the roll. It's the only way to sustain the beat, and the roll serves a function, as I did when young William Diamond was told to beat up the alarm. It is the signal of alarm, and it's so well known and commonly known that they never bothered to write it in the books. General Douglas MacArthur, in his farewell address at West Point, in, I think it was 1962, toward the very end of his talk, he said, "I'm growing old and weary, and my bones ache and things like that, but my ears still thirst for the rattle of distant drums beating a long roll." And that is the long roll. It serves the function to alert the troops. In the Navy, and your husband would probably recognize this, in the Navy it is beat to quarters, beating to quarters.
Which is better than general quarters.
Oh, it's the same thing. It is the same thing. It means grab your musket and be prepared. So now, everybody pay attention. We've got the next thing that we need to do is to learn one of the first of the signals from General Anthony Wayne's book is this signal right here. You make just a stroke, followed by, now the left hand is low on the drum, the left hand is low, the right hand is high, and all we're going to do is drop the left stick a little bit and then make a stroke with the right. And that's called a flam. Ready? Play. Okay?
Okay.
Ready? Play. Excellent. Not yet. You've got a job to do here. This is a specific signal. This is the very first signal in that book. It means turn to the right. So if you're in a marching in a column at about 70 beats a minute, you're going to turn the column to the right. And that's the drummer wouldn't do this automatically. The drummer would be instructed, beat to the right. And it would sound like this. Okay? Ready? Play. Good. They need practice. Let's try that again. Together. Beat to the right. Very good. You got it. Everybody else. Now, stand up, please, and show everyone what to do. Oh, please do. Please do. Ready? Beat to the right. Excellent. Excellent job. Now, this is on the test. To the left. Okay. What would be next? No. About. Right about. To the right about. Very simple things, but very, very important. All right? Now, that's the first thing that we need to do. Are you ready? I don't want to make you nervous already. Too late. You've done a wonderful job here, but now the next thing you can stand at ease here for now. Your job. This is not Mission Impossible if you choose to. You already took the money. Too late now. Your job. We've had lunch, and you all know what happens after lunch.
Sleep.
Get tired. So now, your job will be to watch these troops here, and make sure that nobody nods off. Now, if you see someone who starts to nod off in the next few minutes or so, you beat the alarm, which is what we just did in the first place, 2 beats with each stick, like that. All right? Now, I don't want to put any undue pressure on you here, but I am compelled also to relate the story that was told to me by an old friend, George Carroll, who is credited with organizing the Old Guard Fife and Drum Corps in Washington, and from there to serve as music master at Williamsburg. And he tells the story, I don't mean to put any pressure on him, but he tells the story of a young British drummer boy in the 1750s who was court-martialed. And apparently, during a battle, this drummer boy was instructed to beat the retreat. And apparently, something happened, and it was interpreted by the soldiers as the advance. And there was a disaster. Anyhow, I can understand. The retreat goes something like this. And the advance who was not to be deterred and did not accept responsibility, of course. And at the court-martial, the sentence for this drummer was to be drawn and quartered and stuffed into his drum, and the drum sent back to his instructor in London, which might serve as an example. So I don't mean to put any pressure on you. This is a good audience here. All right. Now, Everett, we need to, I need to be concise here. This is a 3-day program. And
We have about 10 minutes to wrap
Ah.
up. Seriously. But
All right,
those
all right,
that
well-
want to can stay, but there are people that will need to.
yes.
10 minutes.
All right. First thing we need to do, that's a French Charleville, I believe. And, all right. You're very good, very good. Now, put the button on the deck here and retrieve the rammer. This is the rammer right here. So if you'll go ahead and do that.
All the way up.
Yes. We need first to make sure that it's not loaded. Strange things happen.
Yeah.
What? Okay, so we'll put the rammer, in fact, I'll reverse it like so. Down here, go ahead and run it all the way down.
Let go.
Yep. That sounded pretty good. I don't think there's anything in it. I don't think. And besides, this is only a stage prop, you know, there's no flint in it. So retrieve your rammer. All right. And replace your rammer. All right, now hold your musket. I forgot to give you, oh, this actually will go to you here. You're good. Okay, very good. Now, you've got your musket, and we need to learn how to load the musket. So, the first thing that we do, this is a flintlock musket from the 1700s, and the flint has been removed for safety purposes, of course. And we need to put some priming powder into the pan. And of course, that's that famous old saying, don't get your powder, or keep your powder dry. So once we put a little priming powder in the pan, we can close it like so, and then bring this back to a cock. Next thing to do is to reach into your cartridge box and pull out a paper cartridge with the powder in it and a projectile, a bullet. In this case, a round bullet. This is a smooth bore. And then bring the rammer out and ram it home and retrieve the rammer. All right, now it's your turn. All right.
Do it all. Right?
Yes? What's the first thing you're going to do?
Powder in, right?
Powder in the pan,
Yep. Then
close the pan so it doesn't fall out. All right. Bring it to cock. Should have a half cock on it, but it's not working right now. Armory.
Half cocked, you never have.
There we go. All right.
then you make sure it's
Bring your rammer out. Oh, well, you need to first reach for a
reach for
cartridge.
the cartridge, put it in,
Right.
then take the rammer out. It's on.
All right.
Sure it's in there.
Very good. All right. Now you're ready to go to work. Now, by the way, for the drummers, it's very appropriate to just click your sticks together for something like that. That's it. All right. So now you're ready to go to work. And the next thing we need to do is to bring your weapon to the ready. All right, you're up here. You're going to bring your weapon up to your shoulder, like so, and be prepared to fire. Fire over their heads. All right, now he's ready to fire. The command, now, this is just like playing, football, and I'm thinking, this is not the NFL, we do have the Old Glory here, you know. But the idea was to line up, like we're playing football. And have one side here, another side there, and hopefully once the prevailing side would try to get the high ground and force the other side to come up the hill. But the idea was to lay down a solid wall of shot. Most of the time the inexperienced soldiers closed their eyes and never saw the flash, never heard the boom. But anyhow, there were a few that could take well-aimed shots. How many shots do you think they could take in a minute? Maybe 2, 3, but this takes more than a couple seconds. Now, if you're going to lay down a volley, there's a drum signal, of course, that's used to do that. And it goes like this. I'll play it. This is your duty, your job is to make sure nobody here falls asleep. All right? You're the duty drummer.
What happens when the drummer passes out?
You already know that. Ready? Okay, you do not have to shoot a hole in the window. However, they're new. You've used up your first shot. Now you get the drummer, the first signal for the company. Typically, a company is the smallest unit in an army, with 40 to maybe 100 men. And was typically organized with 2 drummers. And very often a drummer was competent also on the fife. So that's how the fife came to provide melodic accompaniment to the drum. The drum was preeminent. There were 3 jobs in the Army for a drummer. First was on the field of battle, as by the orders here. The next was in camp for all the signals during the day, and we'll get to a few of those here. And the third is the only thing that survived to today, and that is the ceremonial function. That's what the Old Guard Drum Corps does, that's what the Williamsburg Drum Corps does, and that's everything from morning drill to funeral duty. So, we have another job here.
I don't want to stop you. I don't want to stop you, but I know there's some ladies that have to leave, and normally.
Okay.
So can we just take a small rest here? And I don't know,
Yes.
Jack, are you okay? Do you want to set the drum down for a minute? I want all those that can stay to stay, but I know that normally we have to do an adjournment, and we do have some door prizes. We have to run those raffles. If you could just take a 5-minute rest while we do that, and then those that want to stay for as long as you can.
I'll beat a retreat.
Yes. No, we want to tap.
And then everyone already knows the assembly. Now, I have to do one more thing. You asked a minute ago about the other duties of the drummer. And as we are doing this is the drummer's haversack. and I forgot to give it to you. But if you'll just reach in there and pull out your other tool. Ladies, the cat is out of the bag.
All right, well, just give us
Okay.
5 minutes here, and then we'll be done with that.
That's exactly what it was for. Because the drummers had a strong right arm, they were tasked with doing the